The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, good afternoon, guys. My name is Sunil Sarveshan. I am the Regional Technical Manager for Indian Subcontinent. Let me know if you are having any trouble to hear my voice. This webinar is going to focus on a number of new products since our last Link Planner webinar was in June. If you want a general overview of how to use Link Planner, we have a webinar from January that is still available on the Cambium community forum called Planning Networks with Link Planner, so that you can just have a look with those PPT, the video recording of that particular webinar. So it will be general. It includes all the existing features available with the Link Planner. Are you able to hear me clearly? In the agenda, we have introduced a quite few new products in the last couple of months. So we will take a look at each of these. I would then like to finish up with a couple of topics to help you get the best out of Link Planner. New products like CN Medusa PTP 700, which is a high capacity multi-point, and ePMP 2000, and our IIoT product CN Reach. These are some of the new products released recently, and we just wanted to inform you about the integration of this in the Link Planner. And then some of the optimizing thing for the access points and reports. Okay, here is a quick review of all the products supported in Link Planner as of now. It supports PTP starting from PTP 250, 500, 300, who are the old legacy products, then 600 as well. As of today, under 6 GHz, we support ePMP 1000, 450i, 450, 650, and 700. In the licensed microwave, we support all 800, 810, and 820. In the point to multi-point, we support PMP 450, 450i, as well as ePMP. And now already integrated ePMP 2000 as well as CN Medusa, which is 450M, plus PTP 700, which is high capacity and to multi-point in different bands. So we will be having we will now look at the new products in more detail. Like this is for the CN Medusa, where is our latest enhancement to the 450 family and is powered by the new innovative Medusa technology. Despite the complexity of the new technology in Link Planner, it is very similar to planning the rest of PMP 450 family. There is a new menu option for selecting the operating mode, which we'll discuss in more detail on the next slide. Due to the way that the MU-MIMO antenna system works, we have also changed to configuring the EIRP level rather than the transmit power. This also reflects the way that the user sets up the radio. We'll just try to go to the next slide. You can plan the PMP 450 in 450M in two ways. In sector mode, the downlink uses the same capacity algorithm as the PMP 450 and PMP 450i, serving a single SM at a time, and for PMP 450M, we are calling this legacy mode. Any changes you see in downlink performance between PMP 450, 450i and 450M are due to changes in the antenna pattern or ARP level. On the uplink, 450M is always using multiple beams, and this usually improves the modulation mode that can be used for a given receive level. 450M will often show a reasonable improvement in uplink throughput when compared with the PMP 450 and a small improvement over 450i. If the existing network is already using 256 QAM, which is the higher modulation in the uplink, then this is the maximum that can be achieved and there will be no improvement. When you set the operating mode to downlink MU-MIMO, then this switches on the Medusa MU-MIMO technology in the downlink, where multiple SMs can be served simultaneously, giving an improvement in the overall AP downlink throughput. The uplink works the same as for sector mode, so there will be no change in the uplink throughput. The amount of downlink throughput improvement that you can get on an AP is dependent on a couple of parameters. The major influence is the distribution of the SMs across the sector. To serve multiple SMs simultaneously, they have to be separated in angle so that a different beam can be formed to each SM. If the sector has cluster of SMs close together in angle, even if they are different ranges from the AP, so may not seem that physically close to each other, this makes it harder to group multiple SMs together and will reduce the throughput improvement. Any high priority channels on an SM are currently only transmitted in legacy mode. That is, they can only be served individually. So the throughput of these SMs will be at the same rate as in current PMP 450, 450i APs. Therefore, if there are a lot of high priority virtual circuits active on a sector, this will also reduce the improvement seen on an AP when you switch on the downlink MU-MIMO operation. You can set the impact of the downlink MU-MIMO by comparing the downlink throughput values in the AP performance summary when the operating mode is set to sector mode and then changing it to downlink MU-MIMO mode. When you switch on downlink MU-MIMO, it is normal to see a small reduction in the modulation modes used on the downlink for each SM. This is due to a small increase in the noise level as we are transmitting different data to multiple SMs simultaneously. However, the overall effect is an increase in throughput as the AP can cycle through the SMs more quickly as it serves multiple SMs in each slot. This may result in a slight drop in peak instantaneous throughput to a given SM, but the longer term average will be higher. Let's look at PTP 700, which is a high capacity point to multi-point CP. It allows to operate in a point to few point format, which is a limited version of a PMP system. In LINKPlanner, we have used this PMP site to model this to allow the sector antenna gain to be applied correctly and to be able to show the paths to the different slaves. It does mean that we have a difference in terms used between the product and in LINKPlanner. The product uses the master to control the connection to multiple slaves, and hence the master will be modeled in LINKPlanner as the access point, and the slaves will be modeled using the subscriber modules. You can set up most of the same parameters in high capacity point to multi-point mode that you are used to doing on a PTP 700. However, you can't use event-to-event traffic in HCMP. HCMP is high capacity multiple point mode, and in the current release it only supports symmetric operation. There is no asymmetric. You cannot set the uplink downlink ratios. When you configure a PTP 700 as a master using the access point equipment section, you will see most of the same options that you are used on a PTP 700 equipment configuration. However, there are a few new ones which are specific to point-to multi-point operation. You need to configure a maximum range using the SM range feature. This value needs to be large enough to reach the furthest slave to be connected and affects the timing of the TDD cycle. This range is indicated in the map view by the arc of the sector, and if a slave is beyond the edge of the arc, it can't be connected to the master. You also need to configure the maximum number of slaves that are to be connected. This maximum is dependent on the bandwidth and the SM range. For example, a 10 MHz bandwidth can only support 2 slaves, and for other bandwidths, once the SM range is 25 km, which is around 15 miles, or more than only 3 slaves can be supported. Otherwise, the current release can support up to 4 slaves. Unlike our other point-to-multipoint systems, in HCMP, a dedicated pipe is permanently allocated to each slave in the max slaves allowed list. Therefore, if this value is set to 4, but only 2 slaves are connected, the throughput will be lower to those slaves than if the max slaves allowed was set to 2. This can be useful if initially you only have a couple of slaves, but expect to have more later, and don't want to reduce the data rate, but if set incorrectly, it can also waste resources, reducing the overall throughput for each slave. The ATPC automatic transmit power control in HCMP master target receive power is the same functionality as the SM receive target level in our other PMP products like ePMP and all. It sets the target level at the master for the receive level from each slave, hence controlling the slave transmit power to ensure that a slave does not come in too strong. If you set this value higher than negative 56 dBm, then it will reduce the sensitivity of the master, as the master has a limited dynamic range to support all slaves. This will affect the fade margin to each slave and may limit the performance of any weak slaves. When you are configuring the slave using the subscriber module equipment, many of the parameters must be the same as the master and therefore can't be changed at the slave. They are shown on this page so that it is easy to see how the slave is configured. A key parameter on this page is the AP antenna gain parameter, which shows the gain of the sector antenna in the direction of this particular slave, as each slave will not see the peak gain of the sector antenna. When you are on the subscriber module page, you can see the performance of the link between the master and the slave in a very similar way to that shown for a PTP link. The main difference is that in the performance summary, the user sets the minimum modulation mode that is required for the link rather than the data rate, and the predicted availability is the availability for the minimum modulation mode required. The maximum usable mode is the highest maximum modulation mode that achieves minimum availability required. The performance details panel shows the data rate for each direction of the link for each modulation mode. On the access point page, the performance summary section shows how many slaves are using each modulation mode in each direction and shows the aggregate data rate at the master of the links to all slaves. Where there are multiple slaves on the same modulation mode, the data rate to each slave will be the total shown divided by the number of slaves in that mode. Okay, now we are into ePMP 2000. ePMP 2000 is a recent addition to the ePMP family. It is only available as an access point, not the CP. CP is compatible. The older CPs, Force 180, Force 200, or the ePMP 1000 connectorized unsync. Those are all compatible with ePMP 2000 access point. ePMP 2000 supports 5.1 GHz up to 5.8 GHz band. In LINKPlanner, it is selected and configured exactly the same as for an ePMP 1000, which we are earlier configuring, and supports all the same SM products option as the ePMP 1000. The key benefits of ePMP 2000 are on its ability to handle interference. Unfortunately, we don't yet have the functionality in the LINKPlanner to run interference analysis, but we are working on it and it will be integrated soon. It is likely that in a noisy environment, the ePMP 2000 will see a lower noise level than the ePMP 1000. And this can be modeled in LINKPlanner by reducing the interference at the AP compared with the ePMP 1000. If the interference is coming from a specific direction, then SMs in other directions should see a significant improvement. However, if the interference is in the same direction as a given SM, the beam forming cannot reduce the level of the interference. There, even we have the beam forming facility, it won't help us much. If the azimuth, if the direction of the interferer as well as one of the CP is in the same direction, then we don't get any help even from the beam forming. The smart antenna is not automatically added to the BOM when an ePMP 2000 is selected. However, it can be added through the optional extras when it is shown at the top of the page as a recommended addition, because it's an optional product. Wherever you require in a severe interference condition for the beam forming, then only you can buy that. Otherwise, the normal sectoral antenna is okay. Okay, now CN Reach. In the latest version of LINKPlanner version 4.4.1, which will be released this week, it's already released as of now, we are introducing the latest addition to the Cambium product family, CN Reach, which is being already launched. This release will add the N500 at 900 MHz for the US in point-to-point mode. We will be adding the PMP mode of operation very shortly. In LINKPlanner in the PTP side, select 0.9 GHz band and N500 will be available as a product option while selecting the product. In the US, at 900 MHz, the N500 supports both the licensed and ISM bands, which means that as you plan the links depending on which band setting you select, you will see features that are either similar to our other unlicensed products or to our licensed product. This product is also available in Canada where it uses the same regulatory rules as the United States. So it can be planned in LINKPlanner using the US country setting. This is about how you select N500. The input-output connectivity options don't affect the performance predictions in LINKPlanner, but change the radios that are added automatically to the BOM. The radio comes in two formats, the standard and an expanded version, which has an additional input-output port on the side. For each format, the radio is also available as either a single or a dual radio. In this release of LINKPlanner, we are only supporting configuration which will automatically put the single radio into the BOM. To change the BOM, you can select the dual radios from the optional extras under See and Reach radios. Select the required item and it will be added to the BOM. But you will need to adjust the quantities of both the new item and the existing item. Where there are multiple links from a common location, it may be necessary to synchronize the links. The N500 can either generate an internal sync or use an external source. As we will see later, you can configure the packet size through the payload bytes feature, which controls the time slot duration. When dynamic payload is switched on, if the access point does not have enough data to send to fill the packet size, then this can be reduced and allocated to the other direction instead. This obviously changes the amount of time that each end of the link is transmitting, and therefore it can't be used when the synchronization feature is enabled. At the moment, this is an information parameter only. It does not affect the predicted performance. See and Reach and 500 uses the same terminology for each end of the link for both point-to-point and point-to-multipoint modes. So one end of the link is always referred to as an access point, and the other end are known as endpoints. In LINKPlanner, these in the LINKPlanner, these will be slaves in PTP mode or subscriber modules in the PMP mode. Use the band setting option to choose between ISM and licensed band. This will change the parameters that need to be configured. The ISM band uses frequency hopping in either frequency hopping spread spectrum FHSS or DTS modes. Although DTS mode can also work on a fixed frequency. Use the modulation type function to select the different options. This will group the modulation modes to allow adaptive modulation to work within a common group. The radio can adapt between up to 4 consecutive modes within a group. In the modulation type is, if the modulation type is set to FHSS, then the radio has to use a pseudo random hopping sequence, which is defined by a hop pattern set to 1. In DTS modes, other hop pattern options are available, where a value of 0 will be used a fixed frequency, and values from 2 to 9 will use a uniform step through the frequency list, where the step size is determined by the hop pattern value. In the ISM band, you will also need to define the frequency range to be used, where the band start and band stop values determine the lower and upper edges of the band, and all frequency channels to be used must be within the range. It is also possible to exclude a range of frequencies. For example, if there is other equipment near you which is only using a smart part of the band, if exclude lower and upper are set to 0, then no frequencies will be excluded. Otherwise, exclude lower must have a value between band start and band stop, and exclude upper must have a value between the value set for exclude lower and band stop. All the product configurations for the licensed band are the same as used for other PTP links, with the majority coming from other licensed band link configuration. However, you do still have to set which end of the link is mastered for the N500. Note that this is independent of which end of the link will take the high or low frequencies. A couple of other settings in the configuration at each end section are worth highlighting. These are common to both licensed and ISM. The user limit for the maximum power is defined in a milliwatt for this product. which is the value that is entered on the product UI. In the link planner, we then convert it into dBm. Even if a user limit isn't defined and only a dBm value is shown, the installation report will do the conversion to provide the required value in milliwatt for use during commissioning of the equipment. The user can select maximum payload bytes. This is equivalent of choosing a maximum packet size that the product will use. Link planner will default to the upper limit of 1600 bytes. The lower limit that can be used is dependent on the maximum and minimum modulation mode selected and can go as low as 64 bytes. The lower limit for the link will be shown in the hover help. The two directions of the link don't have to use same values. Reducing this value will reduce the data rates from those shown against each modulation mode. In a future release, we hope to able to give more guidance on the impact of these sections. About the performance summary, these sections have a very similar format as other point-to-point links, but do please note that all the data rates are quoted in kbps and not in mbps. And the default minimum IP required and mean IP predicted have also been changed to kbps value. Getting the best from the link planner. In this last section, I would like to take a quick look at a couple of different things that will hopefully help you to improve the way you use link planner. Optimizing access points. The first of these looks at how we can optimize the performance of the access point by adjusting the tilt. This has become more important as Cambium have introduced new antennas recently. The initial sector antennas used for ePMP and PMP 450 did not include any electrical tilt, which means that the peak of beam was parallel to the ground if the antenna was installed without any mechanical tilt. The new Cambium sector antenna, which has been introduced for ePMP 1000, ePMP 2000 and PMP 450i, as well as the new PMP 450M sector antenna, have approximately 2-degree electrical down tilt. As this simple image shows, this means that if you mount the antenna so that the back of the antenna is vertical such that it has no mechanical tilt, the peak of the beam is no longer parallel to the ground but is now ready, but it is now already pointing down towards the ground by the amount of the tilt. This means that when planning with these antennas, you need to take care about the tilt angle that is used. Here is an example. I have taken a PMP 450i using the original 90-degree sector antenna. For this sector, I have optimized the throughput by adjusting the antenna tilt value. And the range of subscriber on this particular sector have a peak throughput on the AP when the antenna has a mechanical tilt of around 1.5 degree or 1.5 degree of a down tilt. Remember this total throughput figure of 102.1 Mbps. On this slide, it is to take the design from the previous slide and simply change the antenna from the original 90-degree sector to the new Cambium sector antenna. I haven't made any change to the mechanical antenna tilt value. What I have shown on here is that when an antenna has electrical tilt, we show the amount of the tilt in the hover help together with the range of mechanical tilt that is available. If all you do is to change the antenna, then the performance of this new antenna looks very disappointing as the total throughput on the access point has dropped from 102.1 Mbps to 85.04 Mbps, a significant drop. However, what we have now is an antenna which has a built-in electrical down tilt of 2 degrees with an additional 1.5 degree of mechanical tilt as well. I have now optimized the mechanical tilt to get the maximum throughput without changing anything else, and we can see that this has had a significant effect on the throughput for this sector, increasing it from 85.04 to 106.82 Mbps, and now showing a slight improvement in performance compared with the original 90-degree sector. A quick roundup of key points when designing an access point. Always take note of the electrical and mechanical tilt parameters of the antenna. If there is any electrical tilt, it will be shown in the hover help. Always adjust the antenna tilt and take note of the change in total throughput. Find the peak value. There is a slight change in the electrical tilt across the frequency band. So, although the amount of electrical tilt is a good estimate of how much you may need to adjust the antenna by, you do need to check either side of this, as the peak performance is dependent on the local subscriber population. On some sectors, you may have important or high usage customers, and it may be appropriate to optimize performance to those customers, even if it does not give the absolute overall peak throughput on the AP. Reports. LINKPlanner can create proposals for sales use and installation reports from various levels in the LINKPlanner, which will be helpful for the deployment guys, like technical guys or technicians with a lot of information. These can be created either by selecting the appropriate option from the file menu or by using the icons on the toolbar. Note that in the file menu, you only have access to the options that are selected in the navigation tree. For example, to create the report at the access point level, you need to have selected an access point to create that particular report. Cautions: when create reports from the file menu, it is easier to see what level report you are requesting. However, when you click the report icon, it is quite easy to be at a different level in the project tree than you thought. We are seeing an increase in the size of projects, and this means that reports can get very large, thousands of pages. These large reports take a long time to create or may run out of memory before they get there. In the new release 4.4.1, we have added a warning to larger reports to give you an estimate of the number of pages, so that there is a chance to cancel the report creation process without having to wait for 15-20 minutes or more than that for large reports. We cannot predict exactly what size report can be generated on each machine, as it depends on the configuration of the machine and what else is using the available memory. We are working on some other features to optimize the report process, which will be added in the future releases. Cambium has a presence across social media, and you can keep up to date using any of the methods shown: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google Plus, and Weibo. You can share ideas in our Cambium community forum section. There are specific LINKPlanner sections to the forum and knowledge base, which you can follow. We post information on the new releases to the forum, and in the knowledge base you will find articles on many of the LINKPlanner features. If you have ideas on other topics you would like us to cover in the knowledge base too, do let us know, or post your ideas for feature enhancement or any general queries you have. Don't forget, we also have the LINKPlanner email address, which is on the front page when you first start LINKPlanner, or in our LINKPlanner user guide. We do reply to all emails we receive. That's all from my side. It's just an update about the LINKPlanner. If you have any questions, you can either send through mail, or if you want to ask, you can write down in the questions window. Earlier we used to do for a detailed link plan webinars, but due to time constraints, we just decided to complete the updates for 30 minutes or 45 minutes so that people will also be happy to listen. I'll wait for any questions. And this recording will be available in community forum maybe by today night or tomorrow morning. It will be uploaded. The video will be uploaded. Okay, there are no questions received as of now. No problem. When you play with the link plan, you can send us the questions, queries, wherever you find issues or your knowledge on using the link plan for any particular product. Thank you very much. Thank you very much all for attending this webinar. Thank you.